Welcome to another edition of a week of mass shootings. So we're going to take a look at the 5 mass shootings we had this past week. And when I saw that number, I had to look back to 2021 and 2022 to see what they had during the same time frame, because 5 is a really low number. If you don't follow mass shootings, you might not think so, but 5 is a really low number for a weekly total. Maybe in the dead of winter you'd get 5, but this is still, fall. It should still be close to the double digits. And I looked back at 2021 and 2022, and each of those years had 11. So the number of 5 is a little suspect. And if you've been following this channel for a while and you've been watching these mass shooting videos, you'll know that this entire year, up until the end of August, we were way ahead of 2021's record-breaking 690 pace. And I used to say in all the videos that the over-under was set at 700 and that I was taking the over. And we were on pace to just blow past that record and get well over 700. And then suddenly we get a couple weeks of low numbers. Then a few weeks ago we had 18, last week we had 11, and now this week it's 5. Which, like I said, it's suspect. I'm not gonna like say any more about that, but you got to wonder if the numbers are being smudged somewhere. And it starts off with something that's extremely rare. We had no mass shootings on November 6th, 7th, 8th, or 9th. That's 4 days in a row, not a single mass shooting was reported. That is extremely rare. And if you don't follow mass shootings, they happen nearly every day. You might go 2 days in a row, but even that is rare through most of the year to go 2 days in a row. But 4 days is not very common. So we're going to start with our first one on November 10th in Independence, Missouri. And 4 were injured in this one. And this is the first one for Independence this year. And of those injured, 1 was female and 3 were male. The suspect was arrested in this one, or 3 suspects were arrested in this one. 1 was 19-year-old Markanthony Greer. And this basically happened at a mall at 2:20 p.m. in the afternoon on a Friday. And it was an altercation between 2 groups that just turned into gunfire. Now we're going to go, it's still November 10th. So you can see there's 2 on this day, but there were none on the 4 days before that. Yeah, just 2 this day. So we're going to Birmingham, Alabama, and 4 were injured here as well. And this is the 5th one for Birmingham this year. All the victims were male. It was a shootout. They were shot on the interstate, and it's believed to be a group of people following a car they believed was theirs that was stolen. And they got in a shootout with the people in the car. And this Birmingham is the only city this week that this wasn't their first one this year. And I looked to see what they did last year, because all 5 of these, or the other 4, this will be their first time. Birmingham's got 5. Last year, for the whole year, they only had 4. So they've already passed last year's total this year. And like I said, this one was just a shootout. These guys thought these guys stole their car, followed them, and the 2 groups basically started shooting at each other. And it didn't say if it actually really was their stolen vehicle or not. I didn't get that part. So now we go to November 11th in Portsmouth, Virginia, where 4 were injured. And like I said, this is the first one for Portsmouth this year. All the victims were male, and this was a gang involvement. They were all aged 18 to 21. It happened at 11 p.m. And of the 4, 1 might not survive, but the other 3 are in serious condition. And that information came out probably on the 12th, so no word yet on whether they made it or not. And the neighbors in the area said it sounded like a war zone with all the gunfire, because they were shooting so much at each other. Also, now we're going to go to November 12th in Pearland, Texas, where 1 was killed and 4 injured. Again, the first one for Pearland. This happened at Kohl's Antique Village and Flea Market. And the victim that died was 10-year-old Francisco Duarte. And the suspect was 19-year-old David Negrate. And this was basically a fight between two guys that turned into a gunfight. And it happened at 5:30. All of the people that were hit by bullets, all of them were innocent bystanders. And if you see these people, if you've ever seen a video of the way these guys shoot, they can be like 20 feet apart, start shooting at each other, and they'll literally hit everything except the person they're aiming at. And in this case, they hit 5 people, killing 1, and not the person that the guy was actually aiming at. And this was the only one last week that had reported death. Okay, also on November 12th, in Puallup, Washington, 6 were injured. First one there this year. And this was a house party at, they called it a rental home, but basically it was an Airbnb. And this mass shooting happened at 1:39 a.m. And if you follow these a lot, you'll learn that the Airbnbs happen to have a lot of mass shootings at them. Probably not in any kind of percentage basis to how many people rent out Airbnbs. But if you were to do a number on the number of house parties at Airbnbs that have mass shootings compared to other locations that have mass shootings, it would have a significant percentage of the mass shootings at Airbnbs. All right, well, that's all I got for you today. And I'll be back next week with the next week's mass shootings. And hopefully things, and I'm not like saying hopefully like I hope there's more, but I'm hoping that they start reporting these correctly, because there's no way there were only 5 last week. They're either reporting them as triple shootings or they're just not reporting them at all. And it's only these, and that's why you see these cities having their first one, because a city having their first one, it's really hard to hide that number. But like Chicago, they could not report it and nobody would ever even, nobody's paying attention. There's so many of them, nobody's paying attention. Nobody's gonna question it. In a smaller city that doesn't have mass shootings, they're gonna report it, because it's gonna be pretty hard to hide, because everyone's gonna hear about it. And I think that's what the problem is that we've been having is some of these cities don't want to, they don't want to exceed what they had in previous years. And like Birmingham, they have already exceeded what they had in all of last year. And I don't know if that's just a city that's like honest about how they do these things, or if it's because this shootout happened in Birmingham on the freeway, and it would be, I mean, tons of people would have seen it. So it would have been pretty hard to hide. So anyway, I'll catch you next week. This is a weekly video, so if you like this type of content, hit that like button, leave your thoughts in the comments, and consider subscribing. And I'll catch you next week.